My doctor looked me in the eyes and said, "Richard, if you don't change something in the next 6 months, you're looking at a major cardiac event. Maybe a stroke. Maybe worse." I was 67 years old, sitting in that cold examination room, and for the first time in my life, I was truly scared. My blood pressure that day, 182/115, dangerously high. The nurse had taken it 3 times because she couldn't believe the numbers. My doctor wanted to immediately put me on 3 different medications. But here's the thing. I had watched my older brother live his last 15 years in and out of hospitals, taking 12 pills a day, barely able to walk to his mailbox. And I thought, there's to be another way. So I asked my doctor one simple question. What would you eat if you had my numbers? What happened next changed everything. And today, 30 days later, my blood pressure is 142/78. That's a 40-point drop in my systolic pressure. No medication, just food. And I'm going to show you exactly how I did it every single meal, every single day. Because if a stubborn old man like me can do this, anyone can. My name is Richard. I'm 67 years old, and this is my story. Let me take you back to where this all started. It was a Tuesday morning in March. I woke up with a headache that wouldn't quit. Now, I'm not the type to complain about aches and pains. At my age, you learn to live with a little discomfort. But this was different. It felt like someone was squeezing my head in a vice. My wife, Martha, we've been married for 42 years. She noticed I looked pale at breakfast. "Richard," she said, "you're sweating. Are you okay?" I brushed it off, said I probably just slept wrong. But she insisted I check my blood pressure with that home monitor our daughter had bought us last Christmas. The one I'd never bothered to use because I thought I was fine. 183/116. I checked it again. 180/114. Martha didn't say a word. She just grabbed her keys and said, "We're going to the doctor now." You know what's funny? I had spent the last 10 years thinking I was healthy enough. Sure, I had put on some weight, about 40 pounds since I retired. And yeah, I got winded going upstairs. But I was 67. Isn't that just normal? I ate what I thought was a normal American diet. Bacon and egg for breakfast. Maybe a sandwich with chips for lunch. Dinner was usually something easy, frozen dinners. Takeout a few times a week. I loved my salt. I loved my cheese. And I definitely loved my evening bowl of ice cream while watching the news. But sitting in that doctor's office, looking at those numbers on the screen, something shifted inside me. This wasn't just about adding years to my life. This was about being able to walk my granddaughter down the aisle at her wedding in 2 years. This was about not becoming a burden to my family. This was about dignity. So when my doctor, Dr. Peterson, wonderful man, probably in his early 40s, when he leaned back in his chair and said he wanted to start me on medication immediately, I surprised both of us. I said, "Doc, before we go that route, what do you eat?" He smiled, and he said something I'll never forget. "Richard, I eat like my life depends on it." Because it does. We all have the same cardiovascular system. Mine just happens to be 25 years younger than yours. But the principles are the same. Then he did something unusual. He pulled out his phone and showed me what he had eaten that week. And I thought, if it works for him, maybe it could work for me. The decision and the plan, 7 o'clock. Dr. Peterson explained I had what he called stage 2 hypertension. That's the medical term for your blood pressure is dangerously high and you need to do something about it now. But here's what he told me that gave me hope. "Richard, your body is incredibly resilient. Even at 67, even after years of less than ideal eating, your cardiovascular system can heal. It wants to heal. We just need to give it the right tools." He introduced me to something called the DASH diet. That stands for dietary approaches to stop hypertension. It's not really a diet in the way we usually think about diets. It's not about starving yourself or cutting out entire food groups. It's about eating more of the foods that actively help lower blood pressure, and less of the foods that raise it. The key principles he gave me were simple. More fruits and vegetables, especially the ones high in potassium. Whole grains instead of refined grains. Lean proteins, fish, chicken, beans. Low-fat dairy products. Nuts and seeds. And here's the big one, less than 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day. When he said that last one, I laughed. I literally laughed. Do you know how much sodium the average American eats in a day? Over 3,400 milligrams. I was probably eating close to 5,000. Cutting down to 1,500 seemed impossible. But Dr. Peterson looked at me and said, Richard, I'm not going to lie to you. The first week will be hard. Food will taste bland. You will miss the salt, the richness, the comfort foods you're used to. But I promise you, and I've seen this with hundreds of patients, your taste bud will adapt. By week 2, you'll start tasting food differently. By week 3, you'll actually prefer it. And by week 4, when you see your numbers dropping, you won't want to go back. He gave me 2 options: start medication immediately and still try to improve my diet, or give the diet 30 days with close monitoring, coming in for blood pressure checks twice a week. If the numbers didn't improve significantly, we'd add medication. I chose the second option. My wife was worried. She said, what if something happens in those 30 days? And I understood her fear, but I told her, Martha, I've been slowly killing myself for the last 10 years with the way I eat. Give me 30 days to try to save myself. That night, we cleaned out our pantry. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It was emotional. We threw away so much food. Cans of soup loaded with sodium. Frozen dinners loaded with sodium. Processed meats loaded with sodium. Chips, crackers, salad dressings. Even things I thought were healthy, like certain breads and cereals. Martha cried a little. These were foods that had been part of our lives for decades. Comfort foods, easy foods. But we both knew this wasn't just about food anymore. This was about survival. Our week 1, the struggle, 12 o'clock. Day 1, I woke up and had what Dr. Peterson called a heart-healthy breakfast. Steel-cut oatmeal with blueberries, sliced almonds, and a drizzle of honey. A banana on the side. Black coffee, no sugar. I'm going to be honest with you. It tasted like cardboard to me. I was used to bacon, sausage, buttery toast. This felt like punishment. But I ate it. And I tracked my blood pressure, 180/112. Lunch was even harder. A big spinach salad with grilled chicken, cherry tomatoes, cucumber, and a homemade dressing. Just olive oil and lemon juice. No salt. A piece of whole grain bread on the side. I kept thinking about the Italian sub sandwich I used to get from the deli down the street. The salami, the pepperoni, the provolone, the oil and vinegar. My mouth watered just thinking about it. Dinner, baked salmon with steamed broccoli and brown rice. Martha tried to make it flavorful with herbs, rosemary, thyme, a squeeze of lemon. It was okay, not terrible, but not exciting. That night, I didn't have my ice cream. Instead, I had a small bowl of mixed berries. And I went to bed feeling hungry and a little sorry for myself. Day 2 through day 5 were more the same. I was irritable. Everything tasted bland. I had headaches, partly from the blood pressure, partly from what I later learned was sodium withdrawal. Yes, that's a real thing. Your body actually gets addicted to salt. But here's the thing I noticed on day 6. I was eating lunch, another salad, this time with chickpeas and avocado, and I actually tasted the tomato. Really tasted it. It was sweet and tangy and good. Not just okay. Good. Martha noticed it too. She said, "You're not grimacing anymore when you eat." By the end of week 1, my blood pressure was 175/108. That's only a 5 to 7 point drop. I was discouraged. I went to Dr. Peterson for my check-in and I said, "Is this even working?" He smiled and said, "Richard, Rome wasn't built in a day. Your cardiovascular system has been under stress for years. Give it time. The fact that it's dropping at all means your body is responding. Keep going." So I did. Something shifted in week 2, and I think it was partly physical, partly mental. Physically, my taste buds were changing. Foods I thought were bland were suddenly flavorful. I was tasting the natural sweetness in vegetables, the nuttiness in whole grains. I started looking forward to meals instead of dreading them. Mentally, I stopped thinking about food as a source of pleasure and started thinking about it as fuel. As medicine, every meal was a choice. Was I going to heal my body or hurt it? Let me give you an example of what I was eating. Breakfast, Greek yogurt, the plain, low-fat kind, with fresh strawberries, a handful of walnuts, and a tiny bit of honey. A slice of whole grain toast with a thin spread of natural peanut butter. Green tea. Snack, an apple with a few almonds. Lunch, a huge salad, and I mean huge, with mixed greens, shredded carrots, beets, red onion, grilled chicken, and a dressing made from olive oil, balsamic vinegar, and Dijon mustard. A small whole wheat roll on the side. Snack, carrot sticks with hummus. Dinner, this is where Martha really started to shine. She made turkey chili using no salt added beans, tomatoes, peppers, onions, and lots of spices. Topped with a tiny bit of low-fat cheese and a dollop of Greek yogurt instead of sour cream. It was absolutely delicious. Dessert, frozen banana blended up. It tastes like ice cream. I kid you not. By day 14, my blood pressure was 165/100. That's a 15-point drop from where I started. I was thrilled. Martha was thrilled. Dr. Peterson was thrilled. But more than the numbers, I was feeling different. I had more energy. I was sleeping better. That constant feeling of being bloated and sluggish, it was gone. I didn't realize how bad I had felt until I started feeling good. One morning, I walked up the stairs in our house without getting winded. Martha noticed. She said, "You just took those stairs like you were 50 again." And I realized she was right. Week 3 was when this whole thing transformed from a chore into something I actually enjoyed. Martha and I started experimenting in the kitchen. We tried new recipes. We discovered that food could be exciting without being loaded with salt and fat. Here are some of the meals we fell in love with. A stir-fry with shrimp, tons of colorful vegetables, bell peppers, snap peas, broccoli, and brown rice. Flavor it with fresh ginger, garlic, and a tiny bit of low-sodium soy sauce. A Mediterranean-style bowl with quinoa, roasted chickpeas, cucumber, tomatoes, red onion, olives. Just a few, not too many because they are salty, and a lemon tahini dressing. Grilled chicken breast marinated in herbs and lemon, so tender and flavorful, with roasted sweet potatoes and green beans. A big pot of vegetable soup with white beans. Martha made enough for the whole week. It became my comfort food. And here's something unexpected. I started to enjoy the ritual of eating. Before, I would eat in front of the TV, barely paying attention to my food. Now, Martha and I would sit at the table, talk about our day, really taste each bite. It became a time of connection, not just consumption. I also learned something important. This way of eating didn't have to be expensive or complicated. Yes, fresh produce costs more than processed food. But we save money by not eating out, by not buying packaged snacks, by cooking in bulk and using leftovers. By day 21, my blood pressure was 152/88. That's a 30-point drop. We were getting close to normal range. I couldn't believe it. 30 days ago, I thought I was headed for a life of pills and doctor's visits. Now I was proving that food really could be medicine. The final week was about solidifying these habits and realizing that this wasn't a temporary fix. This was my life now. And I was okay with that. More than okay. I'll be honest, there were moments of temptation. We went to a family barbecue and there were hamburgers, hot dogs, potato salad loaded with mayo. My nephew was grilling steaks. Old Richard would have loaded up a plate without thinking twice. New Richard brought his own food, a grilled chicken breast, a big salad, some fruit. My family looked at me like I was crazy at first. But then my brother-in-law, who also has high blood pressure, pulled me aside and asked, "Is it really working?" I showed him my blood pressure log on my phone. All the numbers, every day for almost a month. The downward trend was undeniable. He asked me to email him everything I'd learned. By day 30, the final day of this experiment, my blood pressure was 142/78. A 40-point drop in my systolic pressure, a 37-point drop in my diastolic pressure. When I went back to Dr. Peterson for my 1-month check-in, he took my blood pressure 3 times, just like the nurse had done 30 days earlier. But this time, it was because he was amazed, not concerned. He said, "Richard, in my 20 years of practice, I've seen this happen maybe a dozen times. Most people can't stick with it. They try for a few days and give up, but you did it. You actually did it." And then he said something that made me emotional. He said, "You've probably added 10 good years to your life. Maybe more. Years where you can play with your grandchildren, travel with your wife, live on your terms, not in a hospital bed." That's when it really hit me. This wasn't just about numbers on a screen. This was about life itself. So what did I learn from these 30 days? First, your body wants to heal. It's designed to heal. You just have to get the right tools, and in this case, the right food. Second, change is hard, but it's not impossible. The first week was miserable, but by week 2, it got easier. By week 3, I actually enjoyed it. Anything worth doing takes time. Third, you don't have to be perfect. I wasn't perfect. There were days I had a little extra salt, days I didn't drink enough water, but I was consistent in my effort, and that's what mattered. Fourth, food really is medicine. I know that sounds like a cliche, but I'm living proof. I went from dangerously high blood pressure to near normal range in 30 days, just with food. And finally, it's never too late. I'm 67 years old. I spent decades eating the wrong foods, and I still turn things around. If I can do it, anyone can. Now, am I going to stay on medication free forever? I don't know. Dr. Peterson and I are taking this month by month. We're monitoring closely. If my blood pressure starts to creep back up, we'll adjust. Maybe I'll need a low dose of medication eventually, and that's okay. The goal was never to avoid medication at all costs. It was to give my body the best possible chance to heal naturally. Where am I today? It's been 3 months since that scary doctor's visit. My blood pressure averages around 138/76. I've lost 22 pounds without even trying. It just came off naturally when I started eating real food. I have energy like I haven't had in years. Martha says I'm like a different person. But more than any of that, I have hope. Hope that I'll be around to see my grandchildren grow up. Hope that I'll be able to walk my granddaughter down the aisle. Hope that my best years aren't behind me. If you're watching this and you're struggling with high blood pressure, I want you to know you can do this. It's not easy, but it's possible. Talk to your doctor, get a plan, and give yourself grace. It's a journey, not a destination. Your life is worth fighting for. And sometimes, the most powerful medicine is on your plate. Thank you for watching my story. I hope it helps you write yours. If this video helped you or inspired you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And leave a comment below. I read every single one. What's your blood pressure story? Let's support each other on this journey.